Hey guys! Thanks for joining in with me for another Penetrol test pour. In this series, I'm testing out various acrylic paint pouring methods using Floetrol as the medium and Penetrol as the cell additive. For this experiment, I'll be using the flip cup method with a thinner mix of paints. I'm also upping the Penetrol to 3 drops from our previous test with 2. Let's see if these changes make a difference. If you're just joining in for this series, I'll leave a link in the description to the previous tests. I didn't record my mixing session this time, but if you're curious, check out those first 2 videos to see my process. The too long didn't watch of it is, I measure out by sight Floetrol into cups, mix in the acrylic paints, test for consistency, then add in the Penetrol with a pipette. I'm going to leave the list of colors that I have mixed today to the side, and in case you missed them, in the description below. I did a little bit of color mixing with them, but nothing too extreme this time. I don't typically use very thin mixes of paint with my pours. My typical consistency is fairly thick. It mounds on itself in the cup before sinking back in slowly. I stepped out of my comfort zone with this pour. The paints I'm working with today are thin enough to make the tiniest mound, then quickly sink back in. My thought process here was, the thinner the paint mixture, the easier it will be for the Penetrol to push it, thus creating cells easier. Plus, it's always good to switch things up here and there. So I started out with 3 cups to flip. After I got those loaded, I had a decent amount of paint left over, but not really enough for an entirely new pour. I decided to use them up with a 4th cup instead. I'm pretty glad I did. I don't think I would have had quite enough paint to properly coat the canvas without it. Oh, in case you're wondering, I'm using 3-ounce cups. After flipping the cups onto the canvas, I went with the push pin method of release again. By poking a hole in the cup, you release the pressure, and if the cup is light enough, it will move around on its own. I actually caught a really cool moment without realizing until I was editing. If you watch in the close-up of the release, there's a point where I have to move the light. Soon after that, the very back cup pops up and starts moving suddenly. I can only assume that I disturbed it more whenever I was moving things around, but it's really neat to watch. It happens around the 6:16 mark, so keep an eye out. The thinning of the paints and added drop of Penetrol really changed up the cell pattern that was formed. These cells are larger and more open than our previous tests. Even though I've never had luck with Dutch pours, I'm considering trying one with this consistency. I really like the way the blown out parts reacted in this pour. I have horrid luck using a hairdryer in Dutch pours, but this one makes me want to try again. At this point, this series may go on forever. There are so many things that you can experiment with when it comes to acrylic paint pouring. In this series, we've made slight changes each time to create totally unique results. My hope is that my experiments will lead you guys to creating your own methods of pouring. I'm obviously not the only fluid art channel out there, so I'm really grateful that you guys join in to see what I create. If you watch 5 different channels, you're probably going to come back with 5 different recommendations on the best way to pour paint. That's kind of the beauty and the curse of acrylic pouring. There are 1,000,000,001 ways to go about creating something amazing. It makes it really hard to choose the best method for yourself as an artist, especially when you're starting out. So, my recommendation, have fun with it. If you go into this hobby thinking that you will get the exact same pour you saw someone else do, you're probably going to be very disappointed. I like to look at it as if the paint is in control of the situation. You're just assisting and moving it along its path. That's where all the different methods and recipes come into play. Assisting the paint. Find the method that you feel lets the paint do what you want. Want a ring pour with really well-defined rings? Make sure your paint is thick enough to wall up against the next color in its path. Want to guarantee you'll get cells? Add silicone oil. By experimenting with different methods, you'll get a better grasp of how the paints interact with each other. That way, you can find the methods that result in your desired effect, then move on to tweaking them to make it your own. So, with that, in the next video, we're going to be changing up the pouring medium a little. I'm sticking to mostly Floetrol, but we're going to be adding in a bit of Amsterdam pouring medium to the mix as well. Since I know this combo sells up pretty well on its own, I backed down to 1 drop of Penetrol per color. I know I said the last pour was my favorite, but now I really can't decide. These next 2 are pretty amazing if I do say so myself. If you haven't already, take a second to subscribe so you don't miss them. Also, if you have a request for a certain pouring method for me to test in this series, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your suggestions. That's going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. I'll see you next time. Bye!